As a matter of fact, Axel's doing great. And to all of those you out there, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make the phone call and, put me on your show and let me prove it to you.
What do you think? Okay, do you think it's just the drugs? I mean, obviously you were one of the lucky ones to get into WWE at the time that ECW, the latest, whatever you want to call it, of that there.
Right.
Do you still have those contacts? Can you still call Titan Towers and make some?
Well, here's the thing, guys, and I'll be honest with you. I was never a WWE guy, I never, when I was younger, I wanted to wrestle there, but by the time they called me, I really didn't want to wrestle there. And that's an exclusive. That's the first time I've ever said that right here on your show. I really didn't want to wrestle there. Now, if they called me now and said, hey, we'll give you 6 months, to go to Florida or go to the gym, get in shape, we want to bring you back just for a 1-year run, would you do it? I'd say, sure I would. But I wasn't ready. When they wanted me, I didn't want to be there, if you understand what I'm saying.
Sure. Now, let me ask you a question. What can you talk about, because obviously you're in a niche group, what happens to your indie bookings when you do get that touch of WWE for just 6 months to a year? Does it just skyrocket?
You have two sets of guys. I'm not going to mention any names.
Come on.
One of them was one of my former tag team partners, who thinks that simply because he was in WWE for a drink of coffee, he should get paid $1,500 an appearance.
So is Balls getting $1,500 an appearance?
It doesn't take too much to deduce who I'm talking about. Then there's, my other partner who will, God love him, rake himself over coals and bust himself in the head with broken glass for $50. I just won't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. I'm not degrading myself to that anymore. Terry Funk said to me one time, and I'll do my best, Terry Funk, he goes, damn it, Axel, I don't understand you. He goes, you're one of the most talented guys I've ever seen. You remind me of Dusty Rhodes. You don't have the greatest physique in the world, but you go out there, and those damn people chant your name louder than anyone else I've ever heard, and all you got to do is throw a darn clothesline. Why the hell don't you just keep doing that? You'll go out there, you'll be world champion someday. Well, the reason I didn't is because one day, Paul Heyman came to me and said, I need you to go out there and do the most brutally violent thing you can do. So Ian and I did the Barbwire baseball that match, Taipei death match, and we were pegged into that for the rest of our lives.
Now that leads me right into my next question, which was there are the indie guys these days that are just the wrestlers that aren't doing it right. They're not trained properly. But then there's a whole other genre which you also kind of affect, which was this new hardcore underground, these guys coming up in the hardcore division. You were the predecessor of being able to be a wrestler first that does death matches, not just a guy that chops himself up. Talk about the change that you've seen in that scene alone.
Here's the thing, man. I wrestled, 5 years before I ever did a quote-unquote ECW hardcore match. I went to Memphis. I went to WCW. I went to Texas. I wrestled all over the country. I went to Puerto Rico. When I was a 15-year-old kid, 13-year-old kid, I used to hang around, the WWF back in the day, and believe me, all those stories that all those kids told and all the sex scandals and all that stuff, 100% true. Don't think anything that those kids are saying is a lie.
Does anything stand out? Does anything stand out in particular you want to tell?
The thing is, getting back to the topic, I love this business. I love the art of going out there, and when someone slaps me in the chin lock, Terry Funk and I had a match in Massachusetts one time, and, we were fighting all over the building. We got back in the ring. Terry slapped me in the chin lock, right? And within 2 seconds, the fans started chanting boring. Now, what was so boring about this? We just brawled all over the building, and Terry looked right down and whispered into my ear. He goes, you don't mind if I use a little bit of profanity, do you guys?
No, please. This is a fucking R-rated
No holds
show.
barred.
He goes, God damn it, Axel, we're working this fucking match, not them. They're not calling it to us. We'll tell them when it's not goddamn boring. And you know what? We sat there with that chin lock on, and you know what? The fans started chanting, Axel, Axel, Axel. And then Terry said, all right, come on, Axel, let's go. That's called working. That's what we do.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, we work, you know, and to do that, you know, it's something that is a lost art, and it's something that is one of those things that people need to do. Hey, can you guys talk amongst yourselves for about 5 minutes? I have to do something, and I'll be right back.
Of course.
Not a
you
problem.
got carte blanche, man. Come on back whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I'll be right back. I'll just say, hey, I'm back, okay?
Okay,
All right,
cool.
sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Axel Rotten, man, he's the man. And you know what's great about him? And you know, I have a fuse about 1 inch or quarter inch long for people that ramble on.
Yep.
You know, one of our associates on this network comes on and he gets at me. Like, just take a breath, man. Axel, I'm literally sitting back in my chair and like I'm listening to another interview.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's awesome.
The man, you know, and you can say what you want about him, man. Blood and guts this, you know, giggy this, you know. Mm-hmm. But he is spot on about the business, man, and he's been everywhere.
He lives it.
Right, currently, you know, and we've all shared locker rooms with him multiple times.
Had the chance to talk to him on multiple occasions after the shows. You know, that unique opportunity that we always got.
Yeah.
You know, when it was after the shows and it was time to smoke, and we got a chance to just sit and learn at the feet of those guys.
You know, I saw him at some of his lowest points in life, and I've seen him at some of his highest points in life. And I could say overall, man, I never wondered, you know, when he was telling me the business, he could be literally bleeding in a gutter somewhere. And when he tells you something, he's spot on. He's not, he doesn't, that part of him, and that's the part of any true worker.
Right.
You never lose that. That's why we were getting the argument with our boys a month ago, you know, Ali and Hades, because it was like, you're not supposed to lose sight of what you know.
Right.
You're just not. And when you do, you were never really taught it.
And that's one of my next questions I want to lead into is the big bugaboo that we have, which is these companies these days that copy.
Of course. I think, we might even be back now.
Hey, guys, I'm back.
Excellent. See, like that. It wasn't even 5 minutes. Awesome. So what I wanted to ask you about, a bugaboo that we have, too, is that this new idea among indie promoters where you copy what's on WWE, whether it be Money in the Bank or Royal Rumble or War Games, and promote that as if it's your own, basically plagiarizing. Now, some of them draw and they make money, and they use that as an excuse. Well, it's working. People like it. What is your take on these companies that rip off what you see on TV, and even wrestlers that rip off what you see on TV as the easy way to do it?
You know, guys, that's why I call it the beauty of working. I mean, it's like if you talk about, you know, the theater of coming up with something that is your own and sitting there and going, wow, I just came up with a great idea, and to watch it get over with the people, that's phenomenal, you know? And, you know, I love going to these indie shows where they'll say, we're doing a Royal Rumble tonight. I'm like, you're doing a what? a Royal Rumble? Since when are you the WWE? I don't understand. What do you mean you're doing a Royal Rumble?
Or every promotion has a Money in the Bank gimmick.
Yeah, and come on, guys. We all know this is it's absolutely just, as you said, plagiarism at its finest. They're not coming up with anything new. I'd like to see someone come up with something that was, you know, interesting, not a retread of something else. Or if you're going to do a retread of something, how about do something that was really good? Like have two guys that are really talented at working. Now, I mean working. I'm talking about, you know, I'm going back to Greg Valentine versus Roddy Piper and that dog collar match from Starrcade. I mean, that type of match, you know, was tremendous for what it was back in its day. I mean, if you can get two guys that can do something that is different, I mean, what is it? I don't know. There's so many things that have already been done. I mean, let's face facts, guys. We have guys out there wrestling with no shoes on and thumbtacks. You know, where does it end? Here's my quote. I always said this. I said, you know when ECW is going to end? When this conversation happens. This is Paul Heyman walking up to Dreamer. Tommy, I need to talk to you. Yeah, Paul. I need you to take a gunshot wound to the stomach. It'll just be a flesh wound, but it will be the most over thing. That's really where I thought it was going. I thought that's how bad it was going to get, you know. So I just think that, you know.
Axel, that's funny that you. It's funny that you say that. No, I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's funny that you say that because we're a fan of deathmatch wrestling, both of us, Vito and I, and we still watch it to this day. And I said, so one of these days, in the next few years, one of these guys is going to take a gunshot. One of these indie guys that's at a deathmatch tournament, they're going to take a gunshot to the leg or something, aren't they? You see that coming too, don't you?
Yeah, I firmly believe that eventually one of these jamokes is going to be dumb enough to be talked into it for $50.
Hey, can I play just a hair of a devil's advocate? Is there a proper storyline? Let's say we're bringing the Piper Greg Valentine spin to the mix. Is there a proper storyline for a gunshot? I mean, like, gunshots are in this world we live in. So is there a proper storyline?
It is. You know, gunshots are in this world we live in. So is, you know, our gang and Peanuts and the Three Stooges. But, you know, I don't think we're going to ever have a Three Stooges match, you know.
They had one on Raw.
Well, I mean, barring, you know, a couple guys I've seen in the ring. But the thing is, I just think that's taking it too far. I just think that, in my opinion, now guys, I'm, again, strictly giving you my opinion, and I'm telling you this because a lot of things have pissed me off over the years, and I'm going to give you one of them right now that may shock you. Jim Cornette, guy that claims he knows everything there is to know about wrestling, how to draw, how to put hands in the seats, all this, that, and the other, you know, years ago had the balls to say, Axel and Ian Rotten don't know what they're doing, they're not selling, they're not doing this, and yet Jim Cornette is running Ring of Honor, which is a wrestling promotion that promotes guys no selling every single move they do. What a frickin' hypocrite he is. You know, I think that's ridiculous. I think there is a spot for that type of athleticism, but don't call it professional wrestling. Call it something different. You know, call it a hybrid of something. But Ring of Honor is not professional wrestling. We all know, God forbid, I'm getting ready to break the news. I hope the kids aren't listening. Professional wrestling is predetermined. There's no reason to drop a guy on his head, you know, and try to hurt him for real. There's no reason for it. Bret Hart once said the best thing that a guy can do to prove that he's a great professional wrestler is go out there every night, looks like he's killing his opponent, and they both come back and do it again the next day. And I agree with that. And my heat with Cornette is simply this. It's not personal. I don't dislike the man, but I do dislike the fact that he had the gall and the balls to talk about me not knowing how to work when I can go out there and work circles for a lot of those guys in Ring of Honor when it comes down to working. I'm talking about putting asses in the seats, making the people cheer, making the people boo, because that's what working is. It's old school. It's doing the old, hey, ref, you pulled my hair, and you go around and you work the whole four sides of the building. I remember being 16 years old and the Iron Sheik pulling me aside. We were overseas, and he was teaching me. He said, Axwell, Baba, listen to me. You don't work one side of the building. Work the whole building. Make everyone in the building hate you, not one person. See, you learn, and you take that stuff, and you take it in, and you understand that this is the kind of business that if you go back old school, I guarantee you that if WWE got away from this damn, all their wrestlers looking like gay bikini models, and I have nothing against gay bikini models, and went back to guys that looked like wrestlers. Guys, if you remember that, you know, would you want to walk down a dark alley and run into a guy like Dick the Bruiser? No, you wouldn't. You know, if you need guys that look like fighters, that look like badasses, that look like that would go to a bar, have a beer with you, beat you up, and then afterwards sit down and have another beer with you. And the WWE, if they went back just a little bit to storylines that made sense, that were real, that weren't so